in a previous episode, you brought up this idea of doing things out of duty versus doing them out of love. And it brings up this question that has been in both of our hearts and souls, and it's, what is love? It's weird because I've talked about this for a long time. Like, I've done a podcast episode on my other show like 3 years ago on this, and I love this conversation. It's crazy that I still feel like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, there's a part of me that still has no idea what love is.
Yeah.
Even though I'm committed to figuring it out, I still don't know.
And it's not like you haven't experienced love, right?
Right.
Like, I think everyone could say, at least I would hope that everyone could say they've experienced love. But I don't know, when I really stop and I think about it, and this is what we talked about earlier, is I don't know that I could really explain what love is. At least not in a way that I find very substantial or
like satisfying.
Yeah.
There's like this empty.
Yeah.
And maybe
sufficient.
Yeah, and maybe there's this this question comes up at times when we're struggling to feel love. Because there are times when it flows naturally and when I feel connected to people, and obviously I love my kids, I love my wife. But there are times like earlier today where the feeling was just like stuck. I feel stuck. I don't feel like I'm motivated by love. I'm just kind of motivated by fear, or maybe even not motivated at all. Like, not even fear is motivating me right now. And there are times when I feel really distant from love. Like, I don't know how to just... I think when we talk, especially like... I think we talk a lot about love in church. And a lot of times it's this like, oh, we need to love more. There you go.
Just do it.
Yeah, like today's lesson is on how much more you should be loving.
Just push that button.
And it's like, how do you do it? And a lot of people give this answer of love is an action. It's like, well, yeah, but it's also not, because if I just do an action, it doesn't mean I'm feeling love. Like, I could...
Can you do an action for someone you don't like? Can you do an action without feeling love?
Absolutely, right?
So,
I could give you all the money in my bank account, but...
Yeah, and hate you for it.
And I could hate you for it. Like, it doesn't make it love, and service doesn't mean love unless it's loving service. So I think there's this, like, deep question in the soul of all mankind. Like, what is love? What's the secret?
And the thing is, and here's the other weird part about this, is I think everyone in the heart of hearts wants more of it. And in order to get more of it, we got to understand it. And I feel like that's the part where the poets and authors and musicians across time have been trying to answer this question of what is love, because we all have had a little bit of it and we all want more. And we don't know how, we can't even explain what it is that we want. And that's where all this artistic expression comes from, is the desire to explain what it is we all really want. I think it comes from, okay, so follow me on this. We lived with Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother before we came here, right? The veil's been brought over our memories, our intellectual memories. We can't remember that life, but I still think we have emotions from that life. There are things that we felt there that can't be totally erased. I would say, going off on a tangent here, people who say that there is no God because why would God allow there to be so much evil in the world? I would say that's one of the best arguments for God, because what you're saying is that the world should be more righteous. Well, where does that feeling come from? Right? If you really believe the world is evil, that means that you believe it should be more righteous.
Like, there is something better out there.
Yes, that's right. You've experienced something better, and this is not it. And if that's the case, where did you get that?
Dude.
So in a similar fashion, I think that's what we're looking for, is trying to, and I think it's a testimony of God that we're searching for more love in our life because of the veil. There's some distance between us and God.
Oh, I love that. There's a lot of near-death experiences, NDEs, and
love those.
One of the most common factors, I've listened to like hundreds of interviews and I've read a bunch of books, all that stuff. One of the most common elements is this mention of like enormous love, universal love, expansive love. Yeah, like once Because the idea, if you don't know, which, wow, I forgot that there was a time in my life where I didn't know what a near-death experience was. But if you don't know, it usually refers to some type of separation from body and spirit. Like classic is, I was in the hospital or I got in a car accident and my body separated from my spirit. And when people are in just their spirit, there's almost always this immediate, like, so much love. I felt like that God loved me. I felt like the universe was love. So to your point, I think our spirits are capable of so much more love than our body's trying to figure out how to feel it too. And there are times when we click. There are times when things align and we do experience huge love. But I think this question is trying to figure out, what do I do when I'm not feeling love? How do I get there?
I love that question. And let me backtrack a little bit on what you said. I don't think we ever get there in this life. I think we get tastes of it, but I think that's why those near-death experiences are so powerful, because they actually get to experience it again. Yeah. So this is something really interesting. 98% of all people who've had a near-death experience have one trait in common. And you'll never guess what it is. They never fear death again. 98% of those people never fear death again. Wow. Yeah. They're not racing to it, but they're not afraid of it anymore, if that makes sense. Yeah. The distinction is important there. So I think that creates the desire in all of us to have more love and generate more love and experience more love. Which brings us back to your question.
Like, how do you do it?
How do you do it?
I also want to throw this question in. I think there are men out there who fear that they're not supposed to love. Like, it's not manly to be loving.
It's like vulnerable. You could be made fun of. You could lose your man card. The fact that we even have that in our society, that there's a man card that you could lose that would somehow make you not a man or invalidate you as a man, that's ridiculous. Like, there's no such thing as a woman card, right?
Right.
But we have this idea that there are things you could do as a man that would invalidate you as a man. Like, that to me, that's toxic.
It is.
That's not right.
And it calls back to something we've talked about, this idea of trying to earn your worth, right? Oh, you need to keep it up or else you lose your worth as a man, or you won't be lovable as a man, right? Which I think ties in to this exact thing of, like, how do I let other people love me and how do I experience love for other people? Something that we kind of dived into earlier today when we talked is this idea of fear motivation, expectation motivation. I think sometimes we are brought up as men to just that's what your life is going to be. You work hard, you give up the bus seat for women, you work hard for your wife and children, you sacrifice all day. Don't be lazy and sit on the couch, or you're going to be a sitcom dad.
That's a demerit. Yeah.
Yeah. Demerit that you can never erase. And
just keep doing that till you die.
And then also, by the way, when you get to church every 3 to 4 months, we're going to have a lesson on you need to be more loving while you do all that. And so, I don't know, at least in my experience, where when I'm struggling to feel love, it's because I'm also letting other people's expectations decide what I do. And it can get so ingrained that it's hard to see. Like, it's not an immediate, oh, it's their expectation, but it's this feeling of I'm living my life for everyone but me. And so I'm having no joy. There's no space for love. I'm just a robot.
Right. You're living it for other people. So why would you have your own authentic emotions when you're not even living your life for you?
Dude, yeah, there's no need. You're just a shell.
You're just a shell.
You've given up your agency to choose. And so you lose that power.
I feel like that's the danger of duty too, which I think we overemphasize too much in the church. Like, there's this duty that you have to do all these things. And it's like, duty goes along with sacrifice and all these things. And those have their place. They're not bad things, but I think we use them almost in a way to exclude real love, to exclude the option to buy in, to exclude your free agency. Well, you're priest now. You have to go pass the sacrament. You have to do this. You have to do that.
And you have to do it a certain way.
And you have to do it exactly this way. That's right. You have to wear this thing.
Yeah, I shared this earlier, an experience this brought up for me where I chose into duty instead of love. on my mission, we were in a Spanish branch. A lot of the people didn't have as much money and things like that in that area. And I remember one of the 12-year-olds got up to help with the sacrament, and he passed the sacrament with like jeans on, probably jeans and like tennis shoes. And it's crazy the way I was brought up, or the way I internalize this idea of duty. I was super offended. Like, that kid's wearing jeans while he's doing like a church thing. How dare he? And it's worth clarifying here. Like, we're not trying to be critical of the church, but we are seeking truth. And so that's the angle we come from, of like, what's the truth of how
The highest truth.
yeah, what's the highest truth about how to be involved in God's work, or in the church, or helping with the sacrament or the priesthood. And anyway, it was really cool to remember that memory today and realize like how sick that feels to me now, and how devoid of love.
Right.
Like, wow, it was all his duty is to wear the right kind of pants and shirt, who cares?
Right.
Let's just be there in love. Like, sure, if someone wants to mention that to him, but that probably could be mentioned like after 1,000 other things. Like, hey, dude, I love you. Or, how'd you feel today doing what you did? There's a different way to approach life. And I think sometimes we have put duty as this fake virtue. We've put it up as the highest virtue, when it's not really that important.
I feel like here's what's happened. People said, we want to show God that we love him. How do we do that? We wear our Sunday best. Oh, so it's an expression of love for God, right? But that's an individual thing. So when you see someone else who doesn't dress in their Sunday best, or what you perceive for whatever reason to not be their Sunday best, you're like, oh, you're not doing your duty. You're being disrespectful. But that has nothing to do with you, right? And I feel like if we truly stepped into love, this wouldn't even be a conversation. We'd be like, how are you best loving God? That's your own personal journey. I have no reason or right to comment or even to judge you on that, right? I keep thinking about this experience I had when I was growing up. I had one of my friends sleep over one night, and he wasn't a member of the church, and it was Saturday, and I asked him, hey, do you want to come to church with us tomorrow? And he said, yeah, sure, why not? Spur of the moment thing. Well, guess what? He didn't bring any church clothes. So we tried to give him some of my clothes, which didn't quite fit. So we ended up coming, and my parents made this huge deal out of it. And it was this embarrassment that we took him to church with us, and he wasn't dressed in Sunday clothes. And I was like, but which would Jesus really prefer? He would prefer that we loved him, just like the member you're talking about, that we loved him and said, look, we're just happy you're here.
Yeah.
We want you to experience love and acceptance. I just feel like true love is something that demonstrates itself, and instead of letting it naturally grow like it should, we've hedged around it that this is your duty. So instead of letting people grow into their love of Heavenly Father, Jesus, and grow in how can I best reflect or show them this love, we're going to skip all that and go to the end and just say, look, you just do this. And I think we robbed people through the use of excessive duty of the process of growing in their love and their connection with Jesus Christ.
I love that. I keep jokingly thinking of how people they joke about the word duty meaning like poop. It's like, hey, maybe there's a reason for that. It's a stupid thing. It kind of says you're not allowed to be who you are. You need to just act the way I want you to act.
And it insists you conform.
And I think this ties so well to this question of love. What I'm connecting is that example. So if I can feel someone else's expectation, especially if it feels like if you don't work enough today, then I'm going to be disappointed in you. Or no one's actually saying this, like, I won't love you as much, but there's that feeling of like, I'm not going to be close to you or love you the same way if you don't work hard enough or make enough money. The problem or the issue comes in when I start to believe their expectation.
Right. It's not that they have the expectation. That's their journey.
Right.
It's when you start to believe what they're trying to push onto you.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you picture like a bubble around you, like this is my space, Other people can have all the expectations they want. They could say, oh, you should be this way, or you should wear these pants to church, or whatever. It doesn't mean anything until I take it in and say, oh, I'm going to let that expectation live in me. And what starts to happen is if I have pulled in enough expectations from other people, I start to operate on that same system of, oh, I can't even love myself fully until I'm doing what everyone else has said I'm supposed to be doing. So I feel like that's solving a piece for me of like why I sometimes struggle to feel love. I think there's a connection between that and how much expectation I'm letting in from other people.
Okay, so right now for me, teasing is coming up. So listen to this.
You want to tease me? I'm just kidding. Maybe cut that.
Yeah, I'll get that.
This is me snapping for my editor in case he wants to cut that. If he thinks it's funny, we'll leave it. Teasing. You're talking about teasing.
Teasing. So if you tease somebody who is insecure about their looks and you tease them about their looks, it's probably going to hurt them, right? Because you're preying on something they've already brought in. They believe it, that they are maybe not so good looking, right? If you tease that same person about their intelligence, well, they get straight A's. Everyone tells them they're smart. It's not going to come into their space. They're just going to be like, okay, well, you believe whatever you want to believe. Like it doesn't impact them. So to go along with exactly what you're saying, it's the things that we believe, the doubts that we have that allow us to be hurt by others because we've opened ourselves up to what we think we should be, which is weird because you ever read that book, Punicello? So it's this great book about all these different wooden dolls for people. And they walk around and they're all different. They have different skills, different abilities, different traits, what have you, right? And they have these boxes of stickers they carry with them. And when someone does something they think is cool, they give you a star sticker. If you do something they think is dumb, they give you a black spot. And one day Punicello, who's covered in black spots because he's an ugly looking doll with no skills, he sees this other doll that has no stickers, doesn't have any good stickers, doesn't have any stars, doesn't have any bad stickers, doesn't have any black spots. And he's like, how did you do that? And the whole book is about this journey where she says, I went to the creator every day and he told me he loved me and I became strong in that knowledge of who I am and the stickers don't stick to me. That was the idea. But here's the other part of the story that I think is left out that connects to what we're talking about. She became okay with who she wasn't. She doesn't have to be the best looking doll. She doesn't have to be the most, she doesn't have to get a 4.0. She doesn't have to get to be amazing on the trapeze or do 100 push-ups. It's okay with being who you're not at the same time. Does that make sense?
Dude.
I don't have to be the most important person or the smartest person to still have strong self-esteem. I can just be me.
Wow. I'm thinking of this cool question to ask God and to say, are you okay with me being me? And I think it's a fun question because as you say it, you kind of know the answer. You're like, wait,
what, like he's going to say no?
But I really like the idea of asking those types of questions of like, just to see what kind of thoughts flow.
Yeah.
Because it's based on this idea that we've talked about a little bit in other episodes that everyone has their unique set of strengths, gifts, goodness, whatever, and their struggles. And that I feel like it's this idea of trusting God's whole system and plan that like we're all here. We weren't supposed to come here and be perfect. That like this is the plan.
Or the same.
We were supposed to come here and be us
with different skills, gifts, and abilities so we can all work together.
And then we get to decide what we want. Do you want to do you want to create amazing experiences for people? Do you want to create connections and family? Do you want to create businesses? Do you want to create, a relationship with God? But none of it is like a duty. You don't have this duty to come down here and be perfect and make sure no one messes up and beat your kids into, being good and righteous or discipline them so hard that they don't embarrass you. Like all that stuff is a weird story when the real, like think about how relaxing it could be if you trusted this, if I trusted this, that it's okay to be me. It's okay to have my journey. It's okay for me to have desires. like for me to choose into what I want, and that none of it has to be, is that okay to say? Like, isn't it weird that there's this fear? Is it okay to say that none of it has to be done out of duty or expectation? What if your entire life could just be out of love, desire,
and you could just play and enjoy life? That'd be awesome. What if you stopped thinking there was something wrong with you or that you were broken, and you just said, I'm different. I have different skills and different abilities, and I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with who I am. Like, that doesn't make me wrong or less or broken. We don't get mad at, so in the scriptures, it talks about, the different people are the body of Christ. If you think about a body, the nose doesn't get upset that it can't handle things like a hand. The eye doesn't get upset that it can't walk like a foot, But in our society, we're like that. We compare ourselves to people who aren't us. Yeah. And we say, why can't I be this person? There must be something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I think if we're really going to grow in love and receive more love in our life, we need to stop doing those kind of comparisons and ask ourselves, who do I want to be? Not who am I not? Not who can I be more like, right? But who do I really want to be? Who am I? And I think this is the part of Punachel that's right, is going to the source, asking God, that we can find that confidence to step into who we really are and using our gifts and our strengths, whatever they might be, as diverse as they all are. I also think this is a great, the reason I do strengths training is to help people find those things. Because a lot of the strengths that people have, they actually think they're weaknesses, or they haven't learned to use them just right. And so when they do use them, they might get yelled at. And I'll give you a gift that I think I have, is I think I have the gift to kind of ruffle people's feathers. Yeah, I think I have that gift to help people face some fears and help them find more peace in their life by pointing out or helping to pinpoint some of the things they're struggling with.
Does that tie into what we talked about today, where you said like this feeling of where people, when it gets too close or certain relationships they'll disappear? Is that because one of your natural gifts is to help them see the, you know what I mean? Like see the
hard things.
And when they're not ready, they sometimes step away.
Yeah, I think so.
That's pretty cool. Were you connecting that?
Or? I wasn't connecting that.
I thought
that's
you
really
were
cool.
Literally just, I got like the coolest, I was like, oh yeah, dude, he's connecting the thing. That's awesome.
That's really deep. I hadn't connected that. That's very, I have to think on that. Yeah.
And to just give
a little sense,
like to give a little insight or a view into my experience with Shane, for those listening, Shane does have an awesome, one of my favorite things about being friends is your ability to see things that I am blind to within myself. There's times when I'm like, oh dude, I'm struggling with this thought or this fear or this whatever, this pattern, and helping me see things for like how they're actually happening or what's, today I brought up this fear of death, and then through a few pieces of conversation, you were like, oh, it's not death that you fear. It's the emotions around what you might, like the regret of, did I live my life fully? Or the shame of, oh, did I die for a stupid reason? Or, was I wrong? Was something wrong with my journey? So it's not really about death. It's about the things underneath it. And, if I wasn't ready to face those things, I guess it could be triggering to hear that about myself, I'd be like, step off, man. Like, don't tell me what I'm afraid of. But I think that's a sweet example of a gift. Like what you've been saying, you've got this powerful gift that some people may see as a weakness. And maybe at times you think it's a weakness, but in reality, it's this beautiful, natural thing that you're able to do that can change lives.
Yeah. And in my life, I've used it incorrectly from a knee-jerk reaction, which is push people away. But there are other times I've been able to use it from what I would call the balcony position instead of the basement, where it's been able to strengthen people's lives, help them understand certain things about themselves, and have helped them on their journey of self-improvement and growth and self-awareness. And I think everyone has strengths like that can be used well from the balcony and maybe not so well from the basement. And the strengths assessment helps us narrow down, especially when you do coaching with it, what that is for you, what it looks like, and how to make those subtle tweaks that will improve your life and help you find more fulfillment and happiness in it as you continue to serve others.
Yeah.
In a way that brings joy and happiness.
Yeah.
I worry about that word serve a lot. Do you worry about that? Because I feel like serve is just, it's been hijacked to mean this dull drum
duty.
Yeah. Where we just got to go out there and keep serving.
Expectation.
And it'll never end. And I'll just serve till I die. And
yeah,
it's life draining.
Yeah. I feel like the thing I'm learning from all this, the thing that's connecting for me is if I'm not experiencing love, to look for what expectations am I holding on to, right? We kind of talked about that. I feel like it's just getting deeper though. Like, where am I expecting myself? Where am I treating something as a duty instead of a love and a desire? And another great point that you're bringing up is if you're struggling with love, maybe look to what are your innate strengths? And, ask God to show you those, or come get a strength session with us and like we can really dive into it. As you discover those things, I think love will flow naturally. There's this little inspiration that popped in. What if instead of love is this thing we do or a thing we got to go figure out that we're incapable of and somehow we got to figure out love? What if love is the thing that naturally flows? It's like an underground river.
Okay.
Love is the thing that's always flowing. We just get to choose when we tap into it.
Oh, I love that.
What if our natural state, being children of God, what if our truest deep natural state is to flow in love? But sometimes when we are afraid or we step into expectation and duty, we step out of that underground flow and we end up walking on the surface or kind of in a drought where it's like, oh, where's the water? Where's the love? And it's just an opportunity to figure out, what if I piled up on top of this river so that I'm no longer like flowing in that river of love? I want to hear what you want to say about it, but wow, I just keep thinking like deep in my soul, I think it's okay to trust that love is the natural thing, not this mystery we need to go figure out. It's actually the thing that we know most.
The force is love. I love that. The force. I love that too, because you can't love yourself and I don't think you can really experience love if you are somebody else. If you're living for somebody else, if you're living your life having expectations for somebody else, you've detached from who it is you really are and your true desires. So if you're not authentic, how can you actually feel love? I don't think you can. I think the more you step into who you are and using your skills and traits that God has given you, the more you're going to naturally experience that love because you're tapping into that divine energy that you came here with.
Wow. Dude. Honestly, I think I want to just leave it at that. It feels like there's such a high moment of like, hey, love is innate. It's in us. It's in God, and God is in us. And I feel like I want to just go like continue to discover ways to let love flow more naturally.
Who you are, develop your strengths, so you can bring that love naturally into your life. Fulfillment. Happiness. How about an excitement for life?
Dude, can you imagine?
That'd be great.
Can you imagine waking up feeling excited?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. Because, I mean, there's moments where it happens, and then there's days like today where it's like, oh, shoot. I don't feel anything. And it's because I had piled up some expectations. So this is a beautiful moment to be conscious of that and to let go.
That's a great invitation. Let go of the expectations and start living your authentic life.
And dude, let's say this just in ending, for anyone that's listening that wants a safe place to be themselves, a place to like show up,
practice using your strengths,
to let go of expectations, to figure out who you really are. That's what we've created in True Masculinity. And we'll probably say this a million times. That's what me and Shane have created in our friendship. And that is what we have created in True Masculinity, a space for men to come together, to love and serve together, to let go of like expectation and duty and all those weird things, you know, the old patterns and just old patterns that are untrue, old patterns that drain you and exhaust you, so that you can step into a place of love, authenticity, power. All the good stuff flows from this, and that's why we've done what we've done with True Masculinity. So we would love for anyone to come join us, come get a taste of like what it's like to to be yourself,
to embrace yourself,
to embrace yourself,
to embrace yourself, and to develop your natural skills that you have that you might not even know about.
So cool.
Or what happens a lot of times is to embrace and love the strengths you have that you think are weaknesses that you're running from.
Mm-hmm.
You want to really turn your life around. You want to really like have excitement, purpose, and love in your life. Imagine if the things you think are your weaknesses, if we could show you that they're strengths and how to use them properly, how that would change everything for you.
Dude, I'm never going to speak again. That's perfect. I just want to think of that. I want to hear that sentence echo in my mind forever. Well, sweet, man. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. We will see you on the next one.
Thanks so much for watching our podcast. We appreciate it. And if you feel the call to heal the world,
starting with yourself, we invite you to join our men's group, True Masculinity. The options and details are in the show notes.
We'll see you there.